Okay, let's dive right in. Imagine this. A snake, right? But so incredibly large that when it squeezed its prey, well, the pressure was like having a small car parked on you.
Wow.
Yeah, we're talking about something potentially 15 meters long. I mean, picture a city bus with a car parked behind it. That long. It's not just big, it's something else entirely.
It really is a pretty terrifying window into the deep past, isn't it? Specifically into the world of Vasuki Indicus.
Exactly.
This giant constrictor from about 47 million years ago. And the name itself, Vasuki, comes from this legendary serpent king in Hindu mythology. Very fitting.
It really is. And for decades, we sort of thought Titanoboa was the undisputed biggest snake ever. But this new research, it's shaking things up.
That's what paleontology does, right? Always finding things that challenge what we thought we knew.
So for this deep dive, what we really want to get into is, okay, we have these bones, just a handful really. What can they actually tell us about how this massive creature lived? How did it even get that big?
And importantly, what does its existence tell us about the climate back then? Because that link is crucial.
Absolutely. So this is all happening in the Cenozoic era, which is, our current era, after the dinosaurs checked out.
That's the time frame.
Okay, so where does the story start? The discovery itself, these bones. They were found quite a while ago, right?
They were actually found back in 2005 over in India. But, and this is pretty common in paleontology, they weren't formally described or identified as, a whole new species until 2024.
Wow, nearly 2 decades. It really shows that science doesn't rush things. Patience is key.
It really is. And what's just incredible is how much they're trying to piece together from, relatively little material. We're talking about 27 fossil vertebrae.
27 bones. And they think all from just one single snake.
That's the current interpretation, yeah, from one individual Vasuki.
And based just on those 27 bones, the size estimates are they're wild.
Oh, absolutely. The sources put it somewhere between, 10.9 and 15.2 meters.
15 meters? And weighing maybe a ton.
Up to a ton, yeah. I mean, that kind of scale, it's hard to even picture. It really puts it leagues beyond any snake alive today.
That massive size is definitely the headline grabber. But what else do the bones tell us? Like how it lived?
Well, the shape of the vertebrae, the backbone structure, it suggests it had a really broad sort of cylindrical body. Think like a massively scaled up python.
Okay, so python-like. And a constrictor, obviously.
Definitely a constrictor, relying purely on that immense crushing power, not venom.
Right, and with that kind of bulk, it couldn't have been quick, could it? Must have been an ambush predator.
Almost certainly. Slow, deliberate, probably lying in wait. It's just too massive for high-speed chases.
Makes sense. And diet. Any clues there? I know direct evidence is rare.
Yeah, no fossilized stomach contents, unfortunately. But based on its size and other fossils found nearby, researchers are hypothesizing it probably went after large, maybe slower-moving prey. Things like crocodilians are a strong possibility.
Crocodilians.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, and the habitat. You mentioned python-like. Does that mean swamps?
The bones point away from it being a fully marine snake. The skeletal structure isn't quite right for that, so the thinking is it was primarily terrestrial or maybe semi-aquatic, definitely comfortable in and around water.
So marshy swamps sound about right.
That fits perfectly, especially considering the dig site itself, the Neredi Formation in India. It wasn't just the snake they found there.
Oh, what else?
They found fossils of turtles, various fish, even a couple of types of primitive whales. It paints a picture of a really rich, productive coastal swamp environment back then, around 47 million years ago.
Okay, so the environment was perfect for supporting something this big. And where does Vasuki fit in the grand scheme of snake evolution? Its family tree.
It belongs to a really interesting, now extinct family called Madsoidae. And this family was incredibly diverse and long-lived.
Madsoidae.
Yeah, they were around from about 90 million years ago, so well into the dinosaur era, all the way up until maybe 12,000 years ago. And they came in all sizes, from small ones right up to these giants like Vasuki. Understanding this family is key to seeing how these massive snakes popped up across the globe.
All right, so successful group. A giant swamp-loving constrictor. But why? Why so big? You hinted at the climate connection earlier.
Ah, yes. That's really the fascinating part. The secret ingredient seems to be temperature. Extreme warmth.
Because snakes are cold-blooded or ectothermic, right? They rely on the environment for heat.
Exactly. They're ectotherms. So To reach and maintain that kind of colossal size, like we see potentially in Vasuki, the ambient temperature couldn't just be warm, it had to be consistently exceptionally warm.
And do we know what the temperature was like back then? Middle Eocene period?
The estimates, based on various climate proxies, suggest the tropical zones Vasuki lived in averaged around a balmy 28 degrees Celsius, maybe even a bit higher.
28 degrees Celsius. That's like a really warm summer day all the time.
Pretty much. And that stable high heat basically provided the metabolic engine needed for this kind of extreme growth.
I remember reading about a study with modern tiger snakes that kind of illustrates this point.
Yes, that's a good analogy, even though it's a different context. That study showed hatchling tiger snakes raised in cooler conditions spent way more time and energy just basking, trying to get their body temperature up.
And the result was they ended up smaller.
They did. They stayed smaller. There are a few ideas why. Maybe being smaller makes it easier to heat up. Maybe all that energy spent basking just isn't available for growth.
Or maybe digestion itself is just way more efficient when it's consistently warm. You can process food faster, grow bigger.
That's a major factor, absolutely. If Vasuki could digest a huge meal, like that hypothetical crocodilian, quickly and efficiently because the environment provided constant warmth, well, then it could channel much more energy purely into getting bigger and bigger. The warmer and more stable the climate, the higher the potential size limit for an ectotherm.
And this need for warmth explains how its family, the Matsoids, spread out.
It seems like it. Vasuki itself evolved in what's now India, which was an island continent back then. But around 50 million years ago, India collided with Eurasia.
Right, the Himalayas started forming.
Exactly. And that land bridge allowed other members of the Matsoidae family to spread out, moving into North Africa and southern Eurasia, basically following those warm, tropical zones they needed to thrive. The geology literally opened the door for these heat-loving giants.
Okay, so Vasuki is this new, potentially massive contender. But to understand its significance, we have to compare it to the reigning champion, right? Titanoboa.
Absolutely. Titanoboa was the undisputed king for a long time. It lived a bit earlier, maybe 65 to 55 million years ago, over in South America in modern-day Colombia.
And its discovery was huge, too, partly because of what it told us about its environment.
Definitely. Its size implied even hotter temperatures were needed, perhaps 30 degrees Celsius or more. It really painted a picture of an incredibly hot, ancient rainforest ecosystem.
So, connecting the dots here, we have two monster snakes, but they're separated quite a bit by time and geography. And their lifestyles were different, too.
Very different, it seems. While both were enormous, Titanoboa appears to have been primarily aquatic. Much more at home in the water, maybe a bit clumsy on land.
Like a modern anaconda, but scaled up massively.
That's the comparison often made, yeah. The fossil evidence, like other aquatic species found nearby, and even the shape of its teeth, which seem better suited for slippery fish, points towards an aquatic life.
Okay, whereas Vasuki, based on those vertebrae we discussed, seems more like a land animal that just, enjoyed hanging out in swamps.
That's the current interpretation, yeah. More terrestrial or semi-aquatic, not fully committed to the water like Titanoboa likely was.
But this brings us back to the evidence problem, doesn't it? How sure can we be about Vasuki's size compared to Titanoboa when the evidence is so different?
That is the million-dollar question, really. It's the core of the scientific debate right now. For Titanoboa, we actually have a pretty decent fossil record. Fossils from around 30 different individuals, including many adults.
30 individuals. That gives a much clearer picture.
It does. It provides a much more robust data set to estimate its average and maximum size, which consistently comes out around 13 meters or so.
But for Vasuki, just those 27 vertebrae from one single animal, is that really enough to confidently say it was bigger? Couldn't that one individual just have been unusually large, like a genetic outlier?
That's precisely the caveat researchers are emphasizing. It's a valid concern. When you have such limited material, especially from just one specimen, you have to be cautious. It could be an anomaly.
So how do they even estimate the total size from just vertebrae?
They have to use what's called a modern analog. They find a living species that shares some similarities. In this case, they use the reticulated python.
Because it's large and also lives in sort of swampy, semi-aquatic habitats.
Yeah, exactly. But, and this is a big but, the researchers acknowledge themselves, the reticulated python belongs to a completely different snake family. They aren't closely related to the Matsoidae family that Vasuki belongs to.
So the comparison is imperfect.
It's imperfect. It's the best tool they have right now, but it introduces uncertainty. It really highlights the challenges of paleontology when you're dealing with fragments of the past. Until more Vasuki fossils turn up, the size estimate remains a hypothesis, an educated guess, based on the available, though limited, data.
It's not just about finding a bigger snake then. It's about the confidence level in that claim.
Precisely. It's a potentially groundbreaking find, but one that needs more evidence to be cemented.
So, okay, let's assume for a moment the upper estimates for Vasuki are correct. What would that actually mean for our understanding of prehistoric life? The stakes seem pretty high.
Oh, they are incredibly high in paleontological terms. If Vasuki is confirmed as larger than Titanoboa, it literally rewrites the history books for a huge chunk of time.
How
Well, Titanoboa currently holds the title of the largest known predator on Earth during the period after the dinosaurs died out, about 66 million years ago, and before the giant shark Megalodon arrived on the scene around 23 million years ago.
That's, what, over 40 million years?
Exactly, a vast stretch of time. If Vasuki was bigger, it becomes the apex predator, the true giant king of that entire epoch, dethroning Titanoboa.
Wow. The top predator for 40 million years. The 15-meter potential size, it's staggering. It makes you wonder, though, why are they still around? Why did Vasuki go extinct?
That's another big unknown. We don't have a clear timeline or reason for its extinction yet, but it raises an interesting question. Could a snake that size even survive today?
Well, you said it needed warmth of around 28 degrees Celsius. What's the
Wow.
temperature like today where it's found in India?
Actually, the average annual temperature in that region now is around 32 degrees Celsius.
So warmer than it needed back then.
Technically, yes. Based purely on the average temperature level, you could argue that maybe it could potentially thrive today. The heat is there.
Okay, so why aren't we dodging bus-sized pythons then? If the temperature is right.
And this is where the final, really counterintuitive point comes in. It's a fascinating twist.
Okay.
You'd think, okay, warmer planet, bigger snakes. Right. But the sources suggest it's not just about the absolute temperature level, it's about the rate of change, the speed at which today's climate is warming up.
So the pace of climate change is the problem, not the heat itself.
That seems to be the crucial insight. Rapid, unstable climate change, like we're experiencing now, might actually prevent ectotherms like snakes from reaching those extreme maximum sizes.
How did that work?
Well, achieving that kind of gigantism likely required incredibly long periods of stable warmth. Millions of years where the climate was consistently hot, allowing evolutionary processes and energy allocation to push size limits gradually upwards. Today's rapid warming creates instability. Environmental conditions fluctuate too quickly.
So the constant, reliable warmth isn't there, even if the average is high.
Exactly, that long-term stability is missing. So, ironically, while the planet is certainly warm enough, the instability brought on by the rapid pace of modern climate change might actually be protecting us from the return of these mega snakes.
That is completely backwards from what you'd initially think. We're safe from giant snakes because the climate is changing too fast.
It's a surprising takeaway, isn't it? It suggests that achieving the absolute maximum biological size, like Vasuki or Titanoboa, requires not just the right conditions, but those conditions being stable for immense stretches of geological time.
So a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Maybe it's the stability of past climates, even more than just the heat, that was the real key to unlocking life's truly gigantic forms. Fascinating stuff.